Hi there, good morning everybody. I want to welcome you here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here to do my number 2 of my favorite 4 album runs from the month of August. It's now August the 30th. This is the second run that finishes second. Could have finished first, could have finished as far down as fifth, but it's too strong of a run of albums for it to go unnoticed at all. And so we're going to start out with, I don't think people need to guess who's coming up since there's a book on the shelf up there. We're talking about Rush and the Farewell to Kings. We'll start it off. This is the second 4 album run by Rush. Decided to cut it in half because I liked all 8 of the albums and I couldn't see any way of cutting one of them out. So I decided I was going to just do 2 runs for them. The Farewell to Kings, the beginning, really strong beginning of that progressive element to their music. Album's very different than 2112, I think. A lot more progressive in its elements, a lot more sophistication, a lot more instrumentation by all 3 members. Very well written, I think, and there seems to be a theme. It's definitely got a feel. This album has its own feel, no doubt about it. And arguably, with the Farewell to Kings and Xanadu, has the most listened to side of any album for me in history. I've listened to it more than any other album side, even more than some of my Kiss sides, I'm sure of it. Then the backside with Close to the Heart, Cinderella Man, Mad Rigel, and Cygnus X1 is okay. It's a good second side. I would pass it if that was the album, I would give it like a 7. But because of the Xanadu and Farewell to Kings, I got to give it like in the 9s. That's how good those 2 songs are. Especially early on, Xanadu dominated for me, along with Cinderella Man and Close to the Heart. Those were the big 3 for me early on. Then later, Farewell to Kings moved in, and Cygnus X1 has come on lately. So it's a strong album, but it hasn't dominated as much as it once did. It's kind of faded a bit to the backside, but it's a great album start for this 4-album run. Next up comes Hemispheres, which has had the opposite effect. It started out really somewhat bleakly with me. I didn't care for it. Found it hard to grasp and I felt it difficult to understand and harder to grasp. I did like Circumstances right from the beginning, but the rest of the album I wasn't too keen on. Took a little time, and then both The Trees and La Vela Strangiato began to become dominant for me as well. And then in later years, the Hemisphere side of the album has become much more predominant than it used to be, making this a much stronger album than it ever was, because now a whole side of the album is like all of a sudden in the limelight. Again, produced by Rush and Terry Brown, all of these albums are. This is the 1978 version this is the 1978 release for Rush. I'm not sure why every band has this need to put a naked man on the cover, but I get it. It's a battle between heart and mind, and the mind being sophisticated and clothed, while the heart being more pure in nature. So an absolutely killer album. One of Rush's best, definitely their best instrumental album. The musicality is fantastic. The lyrics are great. All the instruments are off the charts. Yeah, just a really strong album. Really catchy songs as well. So that's Hemispheres. Next up, probably my favorite Rush album, although it's lost a lot of ground over the years just from wear and tear and time. Rush's Permanent Waves. I love this cover. It's probably my favorite Rush cover. Starts out with The Spirit of Radio. Absolutely wonderful track. Everybody knows this. If you know Rush, that's the track. One of the tracks you'll know by them. Free Will. This is a kind of a different song talking about God and stuff. Definitely their opinions were shared here. The bass line on this is fantastic. Then you get to Jacob's Ladder, which is kind of a darker song. Didn't really like it at first. Very atmospheric, no puns intended, but absolutely killer. And then in the long run, I absolutely like this a lot. Entre Nous was an early riser for me, taking off along with Spirit of Radio almost initially, but faded and never really came back. Different strings. I love the acoustic bit here. I think it lends a different side to Rush that you'll see with some songs here and there, but definitely a great one. And then finishes off with Natural Science, one of the great lengthy tracks that Rush does. They're the masters of those 8 to 12 minute songs. Sorry, somebody's testing out their motorcycle, no doubt. Anyways, I hope that you like that part. Now we're going to talk about the final album, Moving Pictures. Many feel this is their magnus opus. Biggest seller for sure. Lots of classic songs here that get a lot of radio play. Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, Limelight all get a ton of radio plays, along with Vital Signs as well. Maybe not Vital Signs as much as it used to, but still does. These songs, this is them putting all the elements together. The progressive element, the hard element, the synth pop element, the combination of the great songwriting and catchy riffs, all present on this album. It's not my favorite Rush album. In fact, of the four we just did, it's probably my least favorite of the four. I think I kind of sensed that they were moving away from what I liked. On Moving Pictures, they had begun to move away from that, and I didn't like the direction they were going in. And unfortunately, this album bore a little the brunt of that. But there's some the killer tracks here. Tom Sawyer's a song that, to me, was a great song, but just beaten to death. I never want to hear it again. Red Barchetta, maybe not as much, but still in that same thing. And Limelight the same way. YYZ, I'm a little more tolerant of, I think, because there's enough vocals on it. But Vital Signs has been my favorite on this album and still is my favorite on the album. The other two songs, Witch Hunt and Camera Eye, I like them a lot more than I used to. But really not a bad album. There's no real bad tunes on here, just a couple that I'm not as interested in. But overall, a nice finish to a nice 4-album run, which we're going to start again. Farewell to Kings from 1977. Rush. Rush's Hemispheres from 1978. Permanent Waves from 1980. And then their magnus opus from 1981, Moving Pictures. And there you have it, my number 2 of my favorite 4-album runs, featuring Rush and their discography. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe. Don't forget to make your comments in the comment section. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. We will see you for day 1, the final day of the month. I wonder if people know where we're going. You know, it shouldn't be too hard to figure out, but there might be some that are not quite sure, because Rush, they figured, was going to be number 1. Anyways, take care and have a good one. Bye.